Hey, welcome to Reviews and Recaps. I know it's been a while, but I'm back now with a review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let's get into it. So, this episode started with Marsau in black. And so Tisha walked in looking hot in that black dress. She looked really nice in the black dress. And the next thing I saw was she had this half black, half brown wig, which just reminded me of the wig Mel was wearing in one of the previous recent episodes when they all had that sit down. So I was like, okay, are you channeling your inner Mel or what? Anyway, so Marsau and Tisha were having date day, as they like to call it. They were just like chilling, talking. Next thing, Marsau said, I invited Mel to Black to stop by. I'm like, huh? Wait. Tisha definitely looked shocked. She was not expecting it. She was not having any of it. She was like, why would you invite Mel without speaking to me? So you sent her a message. He was like, yes, I got my assistant to send her a message. And Tisha was like, you should have talked to me about it before. That's disrespectful. She's not our friend. And then Mercer was like, well, we met them when we were at Destin. You guys were fine. We literally just had to sit down at Destin. You talked to Mel. And Marsau was like, I don't understand. What I think is this. Yes, Marsau was disrespectful by texting Mel without having a conversation with his wife first. 100%. But Tisha, you clearly have a problem with Mel and you still do. So why would you show up to a trip in Destin, like her trip? So you're happy to disrupt her trip with her family, but you don't want her to show up to your restaurant. It doesn't make any sense. It's like Tisha has this issue with Mel that she's not letting go, but then she's also going to be in Mel's presence being so sweet and fake. Like, what is it? Do you have a problem or do you not? So I definitely understand where Marsau was coming from in that he doesn't understand. Like, just when we're at Destin, you were cool with her. We had dinner, you were cool with her. So what is the problem now? This is the part that got me. Marsau is hella disrespectful. He said, so the part you're playing is the jealous wife. I'm like, whoa. Between you and I do think Tisha is jealous of Mel, but that's just what I think. I'm sorry, like, I don't want, my husband to be saying I'm jealous of someone else publicly like that. It's like, what the heck? Like, Marsau needs to like watch his words. Like, he's hella disrespectful to his wife. He gives us entertainment because he's like funny, but he's hella disrespectful. Like, I don't know how Tisha puts up with him. Like, I don't know how anyone would be able to put up with Marsau. He is hella disrespectful. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. And then Marsau said something that we all wanted to say, which is stop acting like you're cordial or cool if you're not. And I agree with that. Miss Tisha is always acting hella cool around Melody. She clearly wants to be in Melody's presence. She's always beaming with joy, right? But as soon as she is with her friends or with her husband, it's like, oh, I don't want to see that girl. Like, what is your problem? So Tisha proceeds to say to Marsau that, yes, they're cordial, but they're not friends, and that Mel declared her enemy, right? I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's even assume that Mel declared her enemy, right? Here's the thing. Do you take your children to meet your enemy? Let's be clear. Why would you do that? If someone says that you're their enemy, do you take your kids, children of so-called enemy, to meet the so-called person who thinks you're the enemy? Like, sis, it doesn't make any sense. Like, your reasoning is very, very skewed. Like, you really need to go back and really think about it. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, why would I take my children to a trip set up by the person who thinks I'm the enemy? So you think your children are safe with someone who thinks you're the enemy? Tisha, your slip is showing. You need to come up for air with all that jealousy, honey. Then Marsau proceeded to say it was clear that they both did not want to move on at the dinner. I'm guessing they had this separate dinner outside of what was shown to us. But anyways, Marsau basically said to Tisha he wants to move on and Tisha does not want to move on. And I completely agree on this. Like, it seems like Tisha does not want to be cordial with Mel, but she's content to show up to places that will throw Mel off. Showing up to places without telling Mel, and showing up to things that she knows fully well Mel would not appreciate, but then she doesn't want her husband to have any dealings or conversations with Mel directly. And let's be honest, like, who would want Marsau to be talking to Mel directly? Because let's be honest, allegedly, I feel like Marsau has a crush on Mel. Every time he's in Mel's presence, he's just always so excited. I just don't get it. Anyways, let's go back to Tisha and Marsau. So for me, I don't like the way Marsau handles conversations with Tisha. Like, I don't appreciate Tisha's fakeness at all. But I feel like Marsau talks to Tisha like she's a kid. He is so rude, hella disrespectful. Like, I don't know how she puts up with it. And then he had the audacity to walk off. But at least he came back, which was at least decent enough. He didn't stay for too long. But he's hella rude to her. Like, I don't know how she puts up with it. And the fact that she ended up having to cry as well, like, I felt bad for her. But I think the reason Tisha is always so upset when her husband brings up Mel is because she feels like her husband has a crush on Mel. And I think we all can see that. Even the day when he brought wine to her doorstep, looking at her like that, he definitely likes Mel. He is attracted to Mel. We all can see it. Allegedly. But seriously, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me or you don't think so? And let's even assume he's not attracted, which I still don't believe, but let's assume he's not attracted, then maybe he knows that Mel knows where the bodies are buried. And so he wants to keep Mel sweet before she like turns on him and fully exposes his cheating ways. Because the word on the street is that Marsau is a cheater, allegedly. Okay, so over in the next scene, Martell was looking for a venue for his wine launch. So he looks at this particular venue, which looks a little bit rustic. Martell was feeling like, okay, this is a bit too rustic for the vibe that he was going for. Well, that's fair enough. So he was there with his friend Chris Fletcher. I don't know if you guys remember who Chris Fletcher is. Remember the picture of Marsau on the internet, allegedly, of his back? Basically, he said that he was hanging with Chris in Atlanta at the time, and he sort of got around who took the picture and sort of insinuated that Chris Fletcher was the one who took the picture. Anyways, Chris and Martell were chatting it up, and Chris was basically saying that he could either choose this venue and either pay for the venue or pay for the decor. So if he wants to choose the venue, then he just needs to figure out and pay for the decor so that it is up the part for what he wants it for, right? So Martell was basically talking about the fact that he wanted a black tie event, etc. Now we know Martell does not know how to do no speeches, so I'm curious to see what the wine launch is going to be about the next time. Anyways, down to the meat of the scene, Martell started talking to Chris about the trip to Destin. He told Chris that Melody invited him and he went and it was good. Martell proceeds to say to Chris, Melody knows I don't want her and she doesn't want me either. And I'm like, Martell, let's be honest. Wasn't it in the last episode that you were talking about anything can happen and you were flirting with Melody on the trip? Honey, you want old girl back. If she said yes today, you will be running back there like your life depended on it. Of course, you still cheat, but you will go back to that woman. So stop acting like a bad man in front of your friends. Like, that's what I've noticed. When he's just him and Melody, he's always like, oh, like a puppy dog, right? But as soon as he's with his friends, it's like, oh, we're not getting back together. I'm like, oh boy, 5 minutes ago you were just there like, oh, there's hope for us. You're keeping out hope that you guys will get back together. Which is it? Like, I don't understand this man. Anyways, He mentioned the fact that Tisha and Marsau showed up because they were around Destin at the time, so he asked them to come over. And then Chris was basically saying that he hadn't spoken to Marsau in a while. And he said that, he wanted to clear a few things up. Like, for example, yes, they went to Atlanta and like looked at various spaces, but they were only together for 2 hours or so. So I don't know if you guys remember when Tisha confronted Marsau about going to Atlanta and having his back on the internet. And he basically said that he went to Atlanta with Chris. And Chris is basically making it clear that we were only together for like 2 or 4 hours max. Like, we weren't together for that long, so we shouldn't be giving the impression that they were on the trip together, because that is not the truth. To be honest, I think we all knew this. Like, we all knew it was an excuse. Well, everyone except Tisha, really. Like, Tisha is going to believe and stand by her man. In a way, I feel like she knows that he is allegedly cheating, but she does not want to give up that family unit. So she is going to stay there and act like it is not happening and she does not believe. Because, of course, to believe and accept it would mean that Melody was telling the truth all along, which she does not want to give Melody or anyone that satisfaction. Girl, it's your life, or do with it what you please. You know what I would pay to see? A conversation with Chris Fletcher and Marsau about the whole Atlanta trip. Like, now that is something I would love to see. Carlos, make it happen. So the next scene began with Marsau at Black, and Melody arrived at Black looking like a boss. She looked good as always. She basically mentioned that she was coming from the beach, and she wore a blazer just over whatever it is she was wearing. I think it was a little white number underneath. But yeah, she looked lovely as always. Now, did you guys peep that Marsau looked so happy to see Mel? Like, he looked like he was seeing his little crush for the first time. Like, it was so weird. Marsau displays like the weirdest behavior around Mel. He almost seems so sweet and he's respectful to Mel. Like, it's almost like he respects Mel, but he doesn't respect his wife. Like, if I was his wife too, I would be upset, because the way he moves is very, very concerning, especially because he moves so completely different with Mel. Anyways, he was talking to Mel. Mel definitely was not in the mood for the conversation. You could tell she was just a bit like, why am I here? So Marsau starts talking about the fact that he and Maurice decided to speak to Mark about some of the behavior that he's been exhibiting towards her and Miss Vanessa. And to tell him that, it wasn't warranted, etc. And then Mel was like, so was there any part of the conversation that had anything to do with me? Marsau basically was insinuating that no, it was pretty much about Miss Vanessa. So Mel was just there like, so why am I here? And so Mel basically said that, she would rather not really discuss his brother. Like, she's only met him maybe once or twice, so there is no real need for her to discuss his brother, Marsau was basically like, he wanted to give her the courtesy or heads up, because they had the discussion, like the whole group had the discussion about being very careful about what is being said. To be honest, Mel looked so unbothered. She did not care for the conversation. She definitely wasn't here for it. And yeah, like, I think something else was probably going on with Mel that day, and she was just like, is this really what I came to listen to? Like, nothing substantial, nothing to do with me, nothing that is going to help me in any way. Like, really, what am I doing here, So anyways, that was the end of it. So the final scene was the scene where Maurice and Kimmy came over to, I believe, Marsau and Tisha's house. And guess who was cooking? Marsau was cooking. Tisha definitely looked happy that he was cooking for the first time probably ever. Or who knows. So Tisha was like, okay, Kimmy, let's let Kimmy and I talk. Let Maurice help Marsau in the kitchen. So I'm like, yes, girl, you better enjoy your day off. This is probably the only day you're going to get off. So please do so. So she was sitting down and talking to Kimmy, and just talking to Kimmy about the fact that they went to Destin and saw Martell and Melody, right? So Tisha said, and I quote, Mel's energy was really good. I'm like, wait, sister, do you like this girl or not? 1 minute she's your enemy, the next minute you're so excited talking about how you went to visit them in Destin. Which is it, my sister? Which is it? Then Tisha brought up the fact that Marsau decided to have a conversation with Mel. So Tisha basically started the conversation by asking Kimmy and Maurice whether it's okay for your husband to schedule a meeting with someone who has declared themselves your enemy. So Kimmy was like, well, me and Maurice have had the conversation previously that he does not have any one-on-one meetings with a woman, without informing me and without us talking about it first, which I'm like, that's a very good way to go about it. You need to have these sorts of conversations prior to actually proceeding to marry someone. These are conversations that you have about your boundaries. Like, the problem with Tisha is I don't think she had the important conversations that she should have had before getting married. So Kimmy turned to Marsau and said, did you have a conversation with Melody? And of course, Marsau said he did, and it was just interesting. It was just nice to see them all chatting it up, right? So anyways, knock at the door. Guess who showed up? Martell. Martell will wear those shorts if he does nothing else, honey. He was wearing his Hoochie Daddy shorts. Then Kimmy and Tisha were teasing Martell about having a boo. So Kimmy basically asked Martell straight up, I heard you had a boo. I saw that you went out with Sheree. I'm like, okay. And then Martell was like, we're friends. We don't want to put titles in anything. I'm like, because it isn't a real relationship, honey. But whatever. If you like it, I love it. So Kimmy proceeded to ask how they met. And you could tell that Martell did not want to have that conversation. He was being very tight-lipped about everything. So he proceeded to say that it was through a mutual friend. I was like, I wonder who this mutual friend is. Probably Carlos King, allegedly. Next thing, Miss Melody walks in a white dress. I'm like, okay. Martell looked happy, like a kid at the candy store. Like he was beaming with joy when he saw her walk in that white dress. Then proceeded to tell all of us that today would have been their 14th year wedding anniversary. So the question, guys, is do you guys think that Melody intentionally wore a white dress considering it was meant to be their wedding year anniversary? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm very curious to know what you guys think, truly. So Martell proceeds to tell everyone that he's having a wine lunch and everyone can bring plus ones, and asked if Mel was going to be showing up to the wine lunch. And Mel was like, she would need to check her schedule and get back to him. He was like, oh, it's next Thursday. She's like, I will need to check my schedule. And then Marsau asked her, are you going to be bringing a plus one? She's like, I just said I will need to check my schedule. Like, what is wrong with these people? If someone says they need to check their schedule, they need to check their schedule. Like, stop pushing it. Anyway, she said to Martell, thank you for inviting me, but she would need to check her schedule. And then in the confessional, she was saying that Martell was sharing her medical information with Arian, who, I don't know if you guys saw it, but she was all over social media talking about Mel having COVID. So I'm sure that's part of what annoyed her. At the end of the day, you don't want someone talking about whatever it is you have or do not have with the person that they cheated on you with. It's just uncomfortable. And of course, if you feel like you're finally getting in a good space and then the side chick is all over the internet shouting and saying all sorts of negative things and making it seem like you infected their kid or all that nonsense, allegedly, I can understand why Mel is pissed. That's all I'm saying. So this is where things got really emotional. Kimmy began to share with the group. Of course, she's spoken to the others, but she was telling pretty much Martell and Mel that she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Honestly, I don't care if you guys don't like Melody, but one thing you can say about Melody is she's a genuinely sweet person. Like, the way she was teary-eyed, like it looks like she wanted to cry. She's such an empath, like you could tell like she was really feeling every single word Kimmy was talking about her diagnosis. She was rubbing Kimmy's back and just being so supportive. Like you can tell like she was literally holding back her tears. Like I saw literally one drop one tear come out, bless her. Like she was definitely just so sweet and supportive, and I'm sure Kimmy was like happy to even like fully have the time to express it. Also, from what Kimmy was saying, Melody was reaching out to her to actually checking on her because Melody could tell that something was off. And someone that is self-absorbed would not do that. Let's be honest. They would not even notice that something is off with you. So the fact that she is checking in and she's just there for her and just trying to make sure that she's good, that's just very, very sweet. And you know what? Say what you want about Martell, but you could see how Martell really likes Kimmy. Like he was definitely holding back tears. Like you could just see that he felt it. And I just love how everyone like rallied around. There was no drama, no issues. Everyone was just supportive of Kimmy. And then Marsau basically brought up the fact that the last time they were all together in the same space was 4 years ago. And it started with Melody saying, I have a question. And now they were asking if Melody had a question to share with the group. And Melody was like, I have a question. Marsau was like, I'm getting up. Like, that was so funny. And it was just lovely to see everyone back together after like so many years of like not really interacting like that. And I think one thing is very clear is that they should try and keep it as the original 6 as best as possible, because the others don't really add much to the show except like drama. They don't really give us that like wholesome content that most people come on own TV to watch. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I thought. Overall, I really liked the episode. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Is there anything that I didn't cover that you would have loved for me to speak about? And let's chat it up in the next video, because I want to talk and have more of an in-depth analysis on some of like the behaviors that Tisha has been exhibiting, especially in relation to Mel. So yes, if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe. Please tap that bell for notifications so you know every single time that I post. Please give this video a thumbs up and let me know what your thoughts are about this episode in the comment section below. Thank you. Bye.